Okay, so welcome back to our continuing series of lessons in magic. Today we're going to be taking a look at our first in the series of archetypes of tarot. And the first card or first archetype that we're going to be looking at today is the Fool. The Fool card is technically the first card in the tarot deck, the one that you're supposed to start with. And that's why it's shown on the outside of the packaging of a tarot deck. It would be kind of similar to what we've talked about in our previous episodes with the archetype of the Divine Feminine, the Lady Victory from our deck of playing cards. And so now that we're moving away from playing cards and into the tarot cards territory, this is essentially the equivalent for a deck of tarot cards if you were to think about it that way. So all the symbolism that we looked at with the Lady Victory, we're now going to look at with the Fool, uh, which is probably one of the easier archetypes to start with and understand. Most of us will be familiar with some of these ideas once I start introducing them. And this is the first time that I'm actually going to attempt to do like dry readings of tarot cards. I have I have some familiarity, like I've seen the Magician card obviously before, right? But I haven't actually like gone through and kind of like tried to look through and just notice things myself and just see if there's anything that I can glean just from my own intuition and see if there's anything about the tarot cards that just speaks to me on its own level before I start. So I'm going to give you my first impressions of each of the cards, starting today with the Fool. And once I've given you my impressions, then we'll go into the book itself and we'll read what the intent behind the card was to begin with. So then we can have kind of a comparison of what I'm seeing in it and what the card says itself. So, okay, starting off, this is the Fool card. I'll show you here, and I'll put the rest of our cards off to the side because we don't need those right now. Okay, so the Fool. Where do you even begin? That's the question that the Fool asks, is where do you begin? Where do you begin when you start wanting to think about going on a journey or asking questions or doing really anything, right? The Fool is the archetype in my mind of, as some people have called it, the one who left the house that morning with everything they already needed. Right? It's like the one who has no worries because life, God, the universe has already afforded you all of the things that you would ever need. And so you can walk through the world without worry, carefree, careless, right? Because you already know that God and everything is on your side. And so you don't have to worry about those things. And so uh, before I go into the symbolism of the Fool card, I'll just give you a few like examples to think about while we're talking about this. So the Fool in storytelling, the Fool as a character, the Fool in our story that we're going to be telling. You could equate this with like Luke Skywalker, right? Or like a Goku, a Dragon Ball Z character, or even Optimus Prime. That's one of my favorites. Who else can I think of off the top of my head? Like Prince Ashitaka, the one who goes to sea with eyes unclouded by hate, right? That's what Ashitaka says. And so that's in Princess Mononoke, just in case you're not familiar. Um, he's the one that left home that morning and has everything he already needs. Like Luke Skywalker, he already has the Force within him, right? He just has to go through the experiences of life to teach him that he already has the ability to use the Force within him, right? He has to learn those lessons. He has to see it for himself. And that's like the difficult journey that he has to go through, right? It's kind of similar to all the other characters, right? It's like you're like, man, our heroes, our heroes just keep. It's almost like they have this uncanny ability that just when everything is about to go wrong, something just kind of miraculously comes along and saves the day, and it just all works in their favor somehow, miraculously. And then we're like, oh, okay, yeah, that works. So in that way, the fool is a hero of our story, right? The hero of all of our stories. It's the hero. The fool is all of us, right? And our, I guess you could say naivete, right? Or ignorance, right? Or hope, right? Faith, the belief that you're going to make it through something without needing to rely on something outside of yourself, you know? That either divine providence or the nature of the universe will provide for you, right? That hope that you have in yourself, right? That's the way that the universe can work out. And that's what the symbolism of the fool represents to me. Okay? He's supposed to be an idealist, right? He's supposed to be naive. He's supposed to be potentially walking off a cliff, right? That he doesn't see, right? But he's like a divine providence idealist, right? If you think about like, where do I even start with him, right? He's looking up into the sky, and the sky is yellow. And in this case, I think yellow means happiness. Yellow has always meant happiness to me, right? There's another meaning that goes with yellow that we'll talk about as we go through it, right? But if he's clear and he has clear intentions and everything else is balanced in this life, he's able to look above the burdens of life and find happiness in like the simple things and the knowledge that he's going to be protected and that things are going to work out for him, right? If you think about the characters that I talked about, it's like the surety that they have, the assurance, right, in themselves that they can go and do whatever it is that they have to do, right? That's kind of what that's pointing towards in that direction, right? And so if we think about it directionally, right, there's kind of two other directions here, right, that we could talk about next to it. The sun represents God, divine providence, watching over him, right? So what it means is that he's got God on his side, and God isn't just looking over all of the things that he has taken into consideration or the way his heart is, right? It's also shining the way forward for him. So he has divine providence, right? But there's also a level here of like, some people think that he's about to walk off the path. Some people think that by divine providence, the path is being made for him as he walks, and so he never has to worry, right? And I'll give you my thoughts on that. But essentially, I think in these orientations, these two corners, what it means is caution, right? One is sort of caution with the direction of divine providence. So you're going in the right direction, but you're taking caution. And one of the directions is caution where you may be walking away from divine providence. So that might not be the direction you want to go in, right? He is called the fool after all, right? But he does have a few things working for him, right? The garments that he's wearing, right? It's like elaborately decorated. I'll show you even closer here. Elaborately decorated with like flowers and vines and leaves, and they're like organized, right? Like everything is, the beautiful flowers are surrounded by the leaves, right? Like there's little bits of symbolism and all that. And what it is like the yellow is the happiness, right? red is passion. And so he's equally got his love and his passion and his happiness in balance, right? And he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve, right? But his sleeves are actually white, which means that his intentions are pure, right? So he loves freely because his heart is pure, right? That's the symbolism that I see within just the colors and the patterns of that, right? He's carrying life's burdens, but they don't weigh him down, right? It's almost like he doesn't even feel them, right? Because God is helping him carry them, right? He's got a white flower in his hand, right? Innocence, peace, you know, that he can do no wrong, right? That it's like his heart is pure and God can see that, right? And he even has luck at his side. Cute little puppy dog for luck, which is, well, sometimes luck is good. Sometimes your pup gets you into trouble. So that's the not just so good corner. Maybe not, maybe good, maybe bad. Watch out. Watch out. Right? But he's stepping in happiness. His feet are yellow, right? And some people think that these are mountains in the background, right? Some people think that they're waves. He's about to walk into the ocean. That's always a possibility. Anytime, anytime you walk in life, right? You take steps with your heart on your sleeve and in love and in purity. You take a risk, you'll fall into the ocean, the depths, right? So that's why it's kind of like in these two orientations, these two corners, it's kind of like happiness, right? It's like really good happiness. Hmm, could be good, could be not so good, right? And then in this corner, right, you've got divine providence, God watching over you, but you gotta have to work towards God if you're gonna go in that direction, right? To make hard decisions, right? And down in this corner, you're kind of like, you gotta watch out for that stuff, right? So if you kind of think about the symbolism of that card in that way, right? It's like the aspects of what a hero could be, right? Or what a hero could face. Some people like to consider the cards like this too, right? They like to flip it over and be like, well, what if these are the implications? What if we reconsider? What if this is actually the good option and that's not the good option, right? That's ways that you could think about adjusting things in a story too, right? You could say all the heroes now in trouble, right? Things haven't worked out. So we're just keeping track of it. The heroes and something's wrong with the hero right now, and we're just keeping track of how we're thinking about that, right? So that's our hero card, like the hero of every story that we've ever told in humanity, right? It's the archetype, right? Whether we're talking about Luke Skywalker, here's another one of my favorites, Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz, right? When she starts off the story, she's the hero and she moves through the world, right? Innocent, pure, heart on her sleeve, in the grace of God with luck at her side, right? And into danger, but she has divine providence and the universe is looking after her, right? If you think about it like that, you can start to sort of think about maybe some of the things that we're going to be talking about here on the channel when we talk about archetypes and archetypal stories. Okay? So that's the fool. That's the fool as I know the fool, right? What the fool means, what the fool is trying to tell you when you're considering it, right? Because it's not all good, it's not all bad, it's kind of in between. It's kind of like You want to take the lessons from the fool, right? You don't want to make the same mistakes, but you also, the fool in a story, it's kind of like a blessing, right? We get to watch Luke Skywalker go through the journey, so we don't have to, right? So in that way, the fool, it's like the divine providence, right? It's like that's why that exists, you know? And so if that helps you guys to understand any of the stuff that we're going to be talking about, I hope that's helpful, right? So I'm going to put the fool up here. I'm probably going to regret like 1,000 times not doing these all in order, one after the other, because I'm about to wrap this because I got other stuff I got to do here. But before we go, I'm going to read you uh, the entry for the fool, and then maybe we'll talk a little bit about this. So this is the pictorial key to the tarot. This particular edition, uh, right? It's from 1995. It's a Barnes and Noble edition. It's got a preface. It's got a whole introduction to the veil and its symbols, which I am not going to read because that's way too much to go through. So we're just going to skip right ahead to card number 0, which is the Fool. With light step, as if earth and its trammels had little power to restrain him, a young man in gorgeous vestments pauses at the brink of a precipice among the great heights of the world. He surveys the blue distance before him, its expansive sky, rather than the prospect below. His active, eager walking is still indicated, though he is stationary at the given moment. His dog is still bounding. The edge, which opens on the depth, has no terror. It is as if angels were waiting to uphold him. If it came about that he leaped from the height, his countenance is full of intelligence and expectant dream. He has a rose in one hand, and in the other a costly wand, from which depends over his right shoulder a wallet curiously embroidered. He is a prince of the other world, on his travels through this one, all amidst the morning glory in the keen air. The sun, which shines behind, shines behind him, knows whence he came, whither he is going, and how he will return by another path after many days. He is the spirit in search of experience. Many symbols of the instituted mysteries are summarized in this card, which reverses, under high warrants, all the confusions that have preceded it. In his Manual of Cartomancy, Grand Orient has curious suggestion of the office of mystic fool as part of his process in the higher divination, but it might call for more than ordinary gifts to put it into operation. We shall see how the card fares according to the common arts of fortune telling. I'm going to say I'm not going to read any more of that because I don't do I don't do quantum mechanics like I've said, right? I only do the story, right? I'll read here. The conventional explanations say that the fool signifies the flesh, the sensitive life, and by a particular satire, its subsidiary name was at one time the alchemist. So at one time the fool was called the alchemist, as depicting folly as the most insensate stage. Is that it? Yeah. Okay. So that's where I'm going to leave it. because the book has the instructions for how to do uh, tarot card readings, which I don't do. I don't engage with that stuff. Uh, it's kind of like trying to do quantum mechanics, and so I just my brain isn't built for it, guys. I'm just doing symbolism here. So uh, that is our introduction to the archetypes of the Fool and archetypes of tarot. If you guys enjoyed that, please give me a like, subscribe, comment, share, all the fun stuff. And we're going to continue with this series. So I'm going to continue going through each card in the deck, giving you my cold reading of what I see in the symbolism. And then we will take a look at what the original intent behind the card is. So hope you guys like that. Please join me for more. We got plenty more to come here on the channel, and we'll see you again next time.